Thank you for taking time out with PSOA. Sean Johnson here with the Great Plains Athletic Conference, bringing you training tape number 10 with Monty Tilgner. So, Monty, we have 2 weeks left in our season, and a lot of games are the last home games for senior players. What is it that we as officials should prepare for when it comes to extra emotions that goes into a player's last home game on the field they've been playing on for the past few years?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is just understanding that there's going to be a lot of emotions, and when emotions are high, sometimes intelligence runs low. That's one of Francisco's favorite lines. He gives us almost every week. So um, when that happens, we've got more potential for possibility of problems. Hopefully everyone, stays focused and is, just intense on what they got. But we just want to, be a little more maybe looking for that guy with the brick in his hand who, might be out to, light somebody up possibly.
And so officials continue officiating. Look for those body language cues, look for those frustration cues. And when the emotions do flare up, let's get contact with those players and have conversations with them to prevent the escalation. We're going to get into the plays here from the GPAC last week. On this play, a couple items to touch on. One, roughing the passer and punishing the passer to the ground. And then the second is the simultaneous catch rule, and the process of the catch ultimately is going to be an incomplete pass because the process was not complete when the ball came loose. So, Monty, we were talking about, the roughing the passer and what is it referees are looking for, and what is it defensive coordinators could be telling their players to avoid the term punishing the passer to the ground. And we'll take a look at the roughing the passer first.
So the NFL has a rule specific that you can't put your body weight on the quarterback, otherwise it's a foul. In college, we do not have that rule. Now, that being said, our guys are instructed that if they punish them in the ground with their body weight, that they want roughing the passer called. And this is one that I think it looks like he does that. So I think it's a good call for roughing the passer. And just coaches, remember, tell your players, we are going to protect the quarterbacks. So when there's doubt of if it's roughing or not, it's going to be roughing. So if your guys know that, then they're great athletes. They'll let up on that contact or make sure they get all to the side of him instead of landing on top of him. Because when you punish him, then it's going to be a foul.
And then we transition here to the catch, and both players originally potentially short term possessing the ball, and then eventually the ball comes out loose. So, first off, if both players did stay in possession of the ball by rule, whose ball is it? And then at what point would you deem this process of the catch over with both in possession?
Yeah, so technically there is a rule for simultaneous possession. But really what we do is they go to the ground and they fight it out, and if one guy comes out with the ball, it's going to be that team's ball. If they go down to the ground and they wrestle for a second and they both continue to have it, then by rule it goes to the offense. This one is a really good job of they come together, they talk about it, and they go incomplete. This is 100% incomplete because they don't neither one of them completes the process of this catch because they don't make it to the ground before the ball comes out. So really good ruling of incompletion.
When in doubt, officials, wipe it out. Our next play here is catch, no catch. And just a reminder, the steps of a catch, and then coaches, as you get these plays downloaded on the sideline, what you can take a look at to determine if you want to challenge it or not. And really at the end of the day is, do we have a look of the football the whole entire time on these looks? So Monty, talk about without replay official in the booth what you like on this play from the officials and originally calling it a catch.
Yeah, mechanically, just excellent. Side judge in great position there. Really good depth. He points to the back judge. He's saying, I've got him good. You got him," and then gets that nod from the back judge, and then they both go up. And I like the ruling of the catch. We don't have anything really. I don't think to say it's not. It looks like he secures it before it hits the ground. If it hits the ground, it doesn't look like it moves. We check. That's we can't ask for anything more from our two officials on that play. Back judge did a good job of getting a little bit of depth and making sure, coming back in case that ball would start to threaten maybe that end line. And our side judge has good depth and is still, which we want, and then closes down a little bit on it and points. So that's excellent work.
And this might be the angle that allows us to see the football the whole entire time. And as we see here, the football goes outside the camera lens view. So, coaches, when it comes to catch, no catch, we're looking for that possession of the football from the beginning, middle to the end. So there is no indisputable video evidence of it becoming loose on the ground. So I agree. This looks like a catch, and the timing of it is great, and the communication is great between the officials as well.
I mean, they wouldn't be able to flip it no matter what. If they went incomplete, there's not enough to flip it to complete. So,
And now we're going to go to another play of similar catch, no catch. The call on the field is an incomplete pass, and the receiver is out of bounds. And on this play, Monty will talk about the importance of calling official the signals is incomplete pass because he's out of bounds. All right. So when this is challenged, calling official, make sure you give the referee all the information of possession. And the only reason it is incomplete is out of bounds. That way, when they go into review, they know the ruling on the field is yes, there was clear, clean possession. Now we're looking at the foot. So as we go to this angle here, would this be enough to overturn it from incomplete pass to a catch touchdown?
yeah, so if this deep wing says, to the referee, I had possession the whole time, I had to maintain possession. Um, he stuck the catch, but I did not have a foot down in bounds. We definitely could flip that because right there you can see he definitely has his hands on the ball, and we can see for sure we've got a foot down. So if the only reason why we're saying it's not a catch is because we didn't have a foot down in bounds, we could flip this. And mechanically, this is perfect. We got our line judge straddling the line, looking down the line for help. We got our deep wing is perfect. He's 4 yards off. He's at that back of that second restraining line, which is where we want him to be. He's still. He just doesn't see that first foot down. But this is where, if I'm a deep wing here, if I'm 100% confident, I'm not going to look back at my short wing. I'm just going to make the call. And if he comes up and says, "How well, you showed out of bounds. Did you have good possession?" And if I say, "Yeah, I had good possession, I didn't have a foot down," and he says, "Well, I definitely had a foot down," then I might change my call after that communication. But when I'm going to look back for help is if I'm not sure. So this one, he's sure, so he goes with incomplete. If that short wing would come in and say, there was definitely a foot down with possession that I saw. So if he never bobbled it, we got a catch. Then that's when we change our call on the field. And now the announcement is the ruling on the field after crew communication is a touchdown. And then they can, try to, the other team can challenge it if they want. But
So understand officials the importance of those secondary signals and give the referee and the scribe all the information of the play going into review. Quite a lot of discussion here on these next two plays of what is leaping over the shield and what is a legal jump between gaps. and what officials are looking for and what we should say to coaches in regards to the ruling on the field. So we're going to go to the end zone view here. So Monty, talk about number one, first, the rule of the difference of leaping over the shield versus gap. What are officials looking for?
Yeah, so they got to go right over the top of that player and catch part of his helmet for sure. I would say to, have it be a foul. I mean, both these guys go right between players. So they're leaping in the gap. Now, if after they start their leap in the gap, the players move and therefore he ends up going over the top of the player, then that's not a foul because the defender was doing what he's supposed to do, go through the gap. So you can see he ends up going over the top in the front of that guy, actually. But he started out going through the gap, and then that the blocker kind of changed it where he ends up going over the top of him. So we can't penalize that leaping player when he does go through the gap.
So referees, you're secondary on this. Line of scrimmage officials, you're primary on this. If you have them initially going through the gap, those are the words you want to give the coach. Similar play here of going through the gap. And this one makes it a little bit more difficult to see. But again, the players initially, number 27 is going through the gap. And as you see here, the helmet is never threatened. So it's not jumping directly over the body, but attempting to go through the gap. So, Marty, what's the difference on this one? What makes this play so difficult for officials live in action?
Yeah, well, no one has a great angle on it. Line of scrimmage, can have an opinion. The referee can have an opinion. I really think that it's one of those that if we throw, if the referee throws or line of scrimmage throws, we need to have a conversation between the two to make sure that they're both good with it being a foul. And, I think we just got to be sure that I know it's a safety foul, but it's a little different type of safety foul. I think we just need to be sure that it's a foul for going over the player before we put a flag down.
Yeah. And two side notes here. Number one, referees, it's very difficult to tell a coach that they're jumping straight up when they're running full bore and jumping off of 1 foot forward. So on the side of telling coaches, in your judgment, you had them jumping through the gap. And then also those blockers cannot make it a foul by moving after they committed to that gap, and or on this one, sort of bringing them back into the body frame. So from a supervisor standpoint, we have shared this with quite a few people, and the consistent message is both of these plays, they are jumping through the gap and are legal. Our next play, we're going to talk about when a offense is running an RPO, how the threshold of an ineligible lineman downfield and sort of what body part we are looking to officiate when it comes to this. So, Monty, what is it at your level your supervisors are telling you of what to look for when it comes to 3 yards, 4 yards, body part, torso? What is the fair interpretation of an eligible lineman downfield on an RPO?
Yeah, so first of all, RPO is totally different than a regular scrimmage play. If it's not an RPO, they want you know, the the frame of that body to be a good 4 or a little more than 4 downfield. But with the RPO, that we call it tighter, but they still want it to be the frame of the body. And if the frame of the body is beyond 3, then we want it to be a foul. So this would be, his chest is probably 3.5, close to 4 yards. So this would be a foul. This would be about as close as we want it, called. But this is a foul.
Yeah, and officials
Torso
remember
is what we're
this.
looking at.
Yep. And officials, remember this is RPO. As Monty said, if this is a traditional drop back and pass, we want this offensive lineman to be a healthy 4 downfield. On this play, we have an open field takedown. Not necessarily of is it or is it not a foul, but mechanically of staying focused and where our eyes should be looking and what official should be primary and what official can help on this. And we're going to see this is after the kick. So it's during the kick. So we would enforce it as a post scrimmage kick foul.
Yeah, so we know our gunners, our outside gunners are going to be the deep wings responsibility. So that means the short wings, you guys have those next guys inside. So our short wings should be looking right at that. Our umpire, you've got that second wave out of the middle as well, and find the biggest threat. And so umpires in this one is in pretty good position to see this, but it's definitely a throwdown by that return team player. So, communication is going to be important that we say, during the kick, hold, return team, number 50. And that means that we're going PSK, so that beanbag is going to be important by our back judge.
So officials stay focused. We all know if we have a good kick game officiating standard wise, we're going to have a great game. Open field takedowns need to be called. Number one, for safety. Number two, for control and retaliation purposes. Let's get the first one so it doesn't continue in the game. Going to the next play, we have another open field offensive hold takedown. But what we really want to talk on this one, we have the opportunity as an official to see it and see the potential foul. Communicate to those players, stay on your feet, keep each other on your feet. With proper communication, we could prevent this open field takedown. But more unique on this play of kick catch interference without contact. So, Monty, explain why this is a kick catch interference without contact.
Yeah, so remember the rule is you can't be within 1 yard in front within the frame of the shoulders. So you can buzz by, but you need to buzz by from the side, staying on the side the whole time. So this guy's coming from this return man's right. If he would stay on the right side the whole time, he could buzz him as close as he wants as long as he doesn't contact him. But when he crosses in front of him, now he gets within that 1 yard belt, and now that becomes a foul. So we do not need contact. We just need them to be inside that 1 yard belt, inside the frame of the shoulders. And, you know, we get told this all the time that, when in doubt, we're going to be supporting KCI. This is definitely, he definitely is within 1 yard in the frame of the shoulders when he crosses in front like that.
And then from a penalty enforcement spot, remember, kick catch interference is 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. So now we're going to have to take a look what's going to be more advantageous for the return team. Is it going to be the spot of the kick catch interference or the result of the play? And if we were paying attention here, we have a fair catch signal coming in here right there. Gains possession of the ball. The ball is now dead. All right, so we are going to enforce that kick catch interference there. Let's blow the whistle so the players know the play is now over. So great job of not ball watching here and looking for threats. This is a blindside block picked up by the referee. Again, if we have everybody looking at the ball carrier, we're going to miss these types of fouls. So this is just a great job of looking behind the ball, away from the ball carrier to get this. And Monty, we were talking about what is really the definition of blindside block in college, because it's legal to block somebody from blindside, but at what point does it become a foul?
Yeah, so the college does a really good job of explaining that in order for it not to be a foul, you need extended hands, hands extended in front of the body and that's the contact. So in other words, hands are extended in front of the body and it's a push. It can't, if you have the hands in front of the body, but you absorb the contact and crunch them with the shoulder, it's a foul. This one definitely, we definitely get the shoulder involved in that. So even though he starts out, he ends with a push with the hands, the contact is with the shoulders. So he doesn't get away from the with the blindside block because he ends up pushing him. So this is a really good call by our referee. This is also one that I think could be picked up from the backside short wing because that's where he should see that guy coming with the brick in his hand.
And then just a small note here, and this is minute little thing, but this spot of the foul is important. So we have the ball carrier advancing, I believe, to the 12 or 13-yard line, and the foul is the 10-yard line, and it's a live ball foul. So if we have this as a live ball foul, we want to throw that flag to the spot of the foul, because since it's behind the end of the run, we would enforce this at the spot, which would have been the 10-yard line. So just a small little thing that we could add to our tool belt to help with penalty enforcement.
Yeah, because if I'm this field judge here who's at the 40-yard line and I see that flag go up in the air high like that, I'm thinking we got a dead ball foul. So if I see it tossed in there, then I'm thinking live ball foul. So just something that can help out as a crew.
Our next play here, offensive pass interference process. As we have this play go, first question is, who initiates this block? And Monty, how do you determine when the defense initiates it versus the offensive player initiating it?
This is why offensive pass interference is without a doubt the most difficult call that we have in the passing game. So this defender does they engage each other. Okay, the defender puts his hands up, the receiver puts his hands up, but it's who drives that block. And you can see this offensive player drives him and totally displaces the defender. So that means we have OPI hanging. All right. So now, as a deep official, what I say is out loud, I say block, block. And then I look and I wait and I see where the ball's touched. And this one's so tight, I need to have communication from my short wing. And this short wing does, you can see he goes to his O2O and he says beyond. You can see his elbow on it right there. And he says beyond. And that's what then triggers the deep wing to throw. So this is textbook how we want this to be handled.
Yeah, so the process and communication is there. And then line of scrimmage officials, remember, when in doubt, it is at or behind the line of scrimmage. So this would be deemed not offensive pass interference because it was touched at the line of scrimmage. We want it to be clearly caught and touched beyond the line of scrimmage. Next play here, very difficult. We talk about offensive pass interference being difficult, defensive holding when that lead blocker, offensive lineman is trying to get to the second level. So not only is this play clip going to show what is defensive holding, but once again, primary calling official and what official can help secondarily because their eyes are going to transition there by mechanic.
So the important thing to remember for a back judge, when we got a run going between the tackles, back judges, you should be looking for players releasing to the second level to get to the linebacker. And if while you're looking for that, you see an offensive lineman get grabbed as he's trying to get to that second level, as a back judge, I think you got probably the best look at this one, especially. So that's a flag you can have. In the NFL, I would say over 50% of the defensive holds are called by the back judge. In the college game, it's not near that much, but I think that this is a play that opens itself up to it just because of, what we have, what we're looking at. If we're looking in the right spot, we might be able to help out on this. Umpire's primary on it, but yeah, if we can get help as a back judge, that'd be an outstanding call.
And I will say this, if we got that call, whether it be umpire or back judge, that would be an 8. Finish our training tape. We have a 2-play vignette on goal line mechanics and touchdown. And then just again, reminders for coaches of what we would need as an officiating crew to overturn it from the original call on the field. So this first play is going to come to the bottom of the screen. Line of scrimmage officials, remember to get to the goal line and extended at the snap. So Monty, as this play plays out, why is it so important to get to the extended, not only to the goal line, but extended?
Yeah, I mean, this feels a little deceptive on how it's painted because that red is actually really should be all white. So we would want to be, first of all, we want to be goal line extended. So we're looking straight down the goal line to see where the ball is. Because if we're at the 1 yard line or 1.5 where we're at here, we don't have the perfect view down the line. And then the second reason why we want to have that depth off the pylon is for our own safety because we end up just really, really close. So we got players almost rolling up into us. And if we're have a lot more depth, then we're going to be able to process all this and not be worrying about, getting ran into or whatever the case may be. So get to that goal line, get depth on the goal line, and then I think we have the correct ruling, but we just mechanically we could be in a little better position.
Yeah. And from a supervisor standpoint, officials understand the perception. When we get the correct ruling in the correct positioning, we look so much better doing our job. And when we get the correct ruling out of position, we're giving others the ability to argue you weren't in position to make the correct call. So really focus on the proper positioning. That will, number one, lead to better accuracy on calls. And second, the perception that we have the best look mechanically to have on that specific call. And the last play of this training tape, very similar goal line mechanics, touchdown. And what if this were to be challenged and go to review? What is it we would absolutely need to overturn it? So talk about straddling the line again here. Monty, what is this line judge officiating, looking down the line, straddling it versus the deep wing?
Yeah, so the line judge has the inbounds, out of bounds until we get inside the 2. And if this player's, upright the way they are, they could even help out just inside the 2. But you got a great look at where the feet are. And then the deep wing is, when they come at it at this angle here, we can see, we're in bounds. So the deep wing's got whether that ball breaks the plane or not before we have a body part down. And, this is one, there's just no way we could overturn this. Whether she goes up with a touchdown or, down at the, 1 foot line, either way, we can't tell. We don't have an angle to tell where that ball is. In good position. Could be a little deeper yet, but good position and stationary, which is what we want. So overall handled pretty well.
I know as we get near the end of the football season, we're going to have one more training tape next week. However, coaches, we've had multiple of training tapes here with goal line plays, and we're going to have conversations of potentially an 8th official to help with roughing the passer and those punt plays and shield plays and pace of play. And then do we add camera angles into the Great Plains Athletic Conference? And goal line plays are very important scoring plays. If we could have that straight line look down a goal line, both goal lines, that will assist with those indisputable video evidence plays on these tight goal line plays like these two. So, Monty, I appreciate you taking time once again for training tape number 10. We hope you have safe, easy travels without any delays or cancellation this weekend. Any final words going into week 11 for our officials and the impact on these games, not only in our conference, but from a national perspective with playoffs and what teams are receiving votes and how it could affect the final seedings?
Yeah, I mean, these games are huge, so we just got to go out and make sure we're prepared and make sure we're focused on every play because you never know when that one play could make the difference and just knock it out of the park.
And officials, remember, you're only as good as your last call.